Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sandra P's Gen Extra. I appreciate you stopping by so much. Good morning, everyone. And Team Replay, good morning, or whenever you're watching, I appreciate you coming by as well. As you come in, click the like button. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. I am Sandra P's Gen Extra. This is going to be our Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 6. This is Red Flags. And this review is going to start where we left off last week. We left off with the ladies, the goddesses, they're dressed as goddesses on their way to Alexia's goddess party. On the sprinter, there was just a huge argument between Lisa and Stephanie because Lisa was 2 to 2.5 hours late on the sprinter. So Alexia and the self-help guru, Daniel, that she got off TikTok, is waiting for them at the party. So this is a mess, everybody. I'll just start where we left off. And I start out on screen, but what I'll do, my camera has been freezing almost a third to midway through regularly. So what I'm going to do is just pop on and off camera. Okay, so we'll do that, and then I'll see how that works. So we'll start out, the ladies get there, and with this goddess party, as they walk in, Adriana says, he's hot. She said, if it were not for Frenchie, she would actually be having Australian tonight. So we start out with Adriana. I've been asking for more Adriana. I actually love her scenes, but they're making her into this, sex pot. I recently found out Adriana is 60 years old. Adriana looks amazing. She does. She really looks good. So she is wearing a beautiful royal blue. A lot of the other ladies are in white. Larsa is in a pretty gold dress, like a two-piece. Lisa's in white, Maddie Saul's in white, Alexia is in white. Kiki, I believe, was in some type green, and Guerdy is also in white. Good morning, Mama Bees. Welcome in. Mama Bees is my moderator. Thank you so much for stopping into this review. I appreciate it so much. And we are at the goddess party that Alexia is throwing for the ladies at Real Housewives of Miami. Hello, TNTG Mom. Welcome in. Thank you so much for coming in. So, Adriana tells the ladies, I think this party is all about Todd. Alexia overhears and says, this is not about Todd. Everybody knows that we've been hearing about Todd for at least 2 seasons. She's been crying over Todd. So Kiki in her confessional says, I am shocked that Alexia is surprised that the ladies recognize that this party is all about Todd. And then production shows flashbacks of Todd being terrible to Alexia. He really talks crazy to her, y'all. He really does. So they have these little mirrors all throughout the party, and someone has written on the mirrors. So it's supposed to be different traits of narcissistic personalities. Things like the problem with being empathetic is you feel sorry for the people that hurt you. And Guerdy is stricken by that one. She's like, oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. I identify with that. That's me. I'm glad to see Guerdy back to her over the top self. She's loud, and she's kind of having a great time at the party, but we'll see kind of what happens later. So we flash back to Andy is at the reunion saying, would everybody agree that all you ladies have some narcissistic personality traits? Larsa has the nerve to say she's not. She may be the one that is the most self-absorbed, but she says she's not. So Maddie Sal says, where's the bar? Because I guess the party's kind of dragged in a little bit. And Daniel, to me, is he's a little bit of a snooze fest. And I don't know where he got all this expert knowledge on being a narcissist. He's not a doctor, but Alexia did tell us that he wrote 3 books. Good morning. Welcome in, Sharon Gobble. Thank you so much. She came in greeting everyone. Stephanie is the new lady. She comes in and she's looking around. She said, yeah, I think this party is all about narcissists. And I think everybody has that in them. But for business people, that's good. That might be a good quality. So I don't know about that, but that's what Stephanie thinks. Julia said that what is between her and Guerdy? She wants to leave between her and Guerdy. So we'll keep that in mind for later. Alexia places the ladies in a group. They're going to play these games that are called red flag games. And then the funny thing is they're all sitting kind of together because they're going to be playing the games together. But Alexia's chair is almost a throne and she's higher up from the other ladies. So confessional Kiki jokes. She said, if everyone's on one level and you're with your peers, but your chair has to be almost a throne where you're above, you might have narcissistic tendencies. But as we see, as they go through the game, and the self-help guru is going to throw out a statement, and then the ladies will have to come up with a literal red flag to say which lady that applies to. Alexia does choose herself sometime, but during the course of the different games, we're going to see a lot of the ladies choosing Lisa, which causes a problem. So Confessional Lisa says, since Stephanie went off on her, she's not going to be late anymore. So you see how easy that was, ladies? Marisol and them were actually afraid to confront Lisa, even though Marisol says, sorry, monkey, you're always late. They've never said a word to this lady about it until her being 2 hours late, 2 to 2.5 hours late with a new person. Stephanie goes off, and then boom, Lisa says she's going to be on time from now on. She's not going to be late. So as they go in through the game and they keep giving red flags to Lisa, Lisa gets upset. She runs off from the game crying. And she says that the ladies are making fun of her. They're bullying her. Adriana agrees that, yeah, this is kind of targeting one person. She doesn't really like it. Lisa is crying that a goddess party is supposed to be fun. And she says everybody acts like Larsa is not one of the biggest narcissists. She is. Lisa's funny. I told you, she insults kind of like a 12-year-old. She said, I think Larsa is a narcissist. So I don't know where she got that from, but that's what she said. Her and Lisa start to go. Larsa is her. Larsa and Lisa start to go back and forth. So Larsa says Lisa just acts like her problems are the biggest problems out of the group. She talks only about herself. Larsa kind of looking in the mirror. This might be true of Lisa, but I find this true of Larsa too. She says she only talks about herself. And Lisa says, well, I want you to take a lie detector test. And then Larsa says, well, honey, I'm the receipt. So I don't know what Larsa's talking about, that she's the receipt. I find Larsa is a big liar also. A lot of the ladies have been caught in lies, but Larsa is a big liar. Lisa asked Larsa if that is her Halloween costume. I told you, Lisa, when she's insulting people, because Larsa had on a gold dress. It was 2-piece. I thought it was cute, but she said, is that your Halloween costume? And then Larsa pipes up, just get a dress that fits. I don't know if Lisa's dress was ill-fitting. It didn't look like it was, but the ladies seemed to find that funny, and they kind of laughed. Daniel, the self-help guru, actually had to interfere, and he was like, ladies, this is not about you attacking each other. They go on to another game. Julia has the nerve to ask a question. I want to know, if someone does something terrible to hurt you and they say something terrible to you, how do you actually get over it? And Daniel's like, who are we talking about? Guerdy's looking at Julia out of the corner of her eyes. Julia has the nerve to say, I'm talking about Guerdy. And then Guerdy rightfully said, well, if something cruel was said, it was after me, the person was physically assaulted. Daniel, the self-help guru, skips over that. So they're still skipping over this or equating Guerdy's words, which were all true. She didn't lie on Julia, revealing about Julia's facelift, which she got while Martina was having cancer treatment done. They're comparing that to Julia taking her germ-filled glass of water and tossing it in Guerdy's face during the course of a verbal argument. So that's crazy. Mama Beast, thank you so much. She said, please hit the like button, subscribe, share to help keep the channel in the algorithm. And that is true. That does help. Sharon was watching this party. Lisa got almost all the red flags. Yeah, that part was funny, but she's right. Larsa should have gotten a lot of red flags. Yeah, I found that really strange. They kind of scared of Larsa to me. And then they showed during the course of the party, excuse me, I don't know why I'm getting hoarse. Lisa even said, she said, I don't know why everybody forgets everything that Larsa's ever done. Production didn't. Production put in all these flashbacks of each one of the ladies. Lisa said, Larsa can go down the line. She did her finger like she's pointing a weapon. Down the line, and they'll never address her or say anything about it. We see Larsa telling Alexia that, well, someone told me that at your wedding, there were people doing certain things, asking this lady that at a reunion. And Andy is saying, what things? And then they say, actually, rugs, which is a terrible rumor about Alexia. You know, she calls herself the Cuban Barbie because allegedly, we see the banner scrolling, Alexia used to be married to someone who was a kingpin or possibly dates people that were considered kingpins. Not Todd. Todd's an attorney, but this is Alexia, what she has said and how she got, used to this life of luxury, what the rumors were about her. We also see they flashback to Larsa. Larsa is telling Julia, well, someone told me that they saw you kiss a man. Remember that rumor came up and it was actually true. Julia lied at first and didn't know anything about it. Kiss a man? I never did that. And then it ended up on page 6 or in one of the gossip columns. So Larsa continually throws out some truth bombs, some untruth bombs about the ladies, and the ladies are afraid to do anything about it. But they've targeted Lisa, and Lisa is an easy target. She really is. So Guerdy says that what she would have wanted is before her and Julia got to the point that they got to, because they started out as friends, she would have loved a friend to pull them aside and try to mediate. And she says she wants to do that with Lisa and Larsa. Eventually, you ladies have to talk to each other. Larsa agrees that she will. Lisa agrees that she will. Guerdy pulls the two of them aside and she sits right between them. And she says, okay, I'm going to sit near you. She sits near them. But Guerdy, the funny thing about Guerdy doesn't realize when she's doing a lot. Guerdy she's interrupting. She's trying to feed words to each other. So it was kind of funny the way it was going. Even Larsa was getting a little annoyed. I was shocked that Larsa didn't get on Guerdy too much. But she was saying, we don't really need a mediator. We don't really need a go-between. But I kind of think that they did, but maybe not Guerdy. Because what Larsa kept doing is accusing Lisa. Lisa, now, you did say at one point that I was one of your best friends, correct? Correct. Kind of trying to steamroll Lisa. Lisa's like, well, no, I don't really feel that. So it was a trip. Sharon says, that's awful how everyone just keeps dismissing Julia's actions toward Guerdy. Yeah, I see. Since it happened, they're trying to sweep it under the rug or make it less than it is or equate Guerdy's words to Julia's physical actions against Guerdy. I want to know how it's going to be handled during the reunion because none of the ladies came to Guerdy's defense, as Russ, Guerdy's husband, pointed out. And no, we don't know of any type punishment or discipline that Julia faced for what she did. She got physical with a castmate, a coworker, and that should not be allowed. And Guerdy just talking is not the same as Julia physically throwing something in this woman's face. So that, Karen, you're right about that. So then after the narcissist party, we have those mini scenes that they do, which I'm getting used to. We have the mini scene is like maybe 30 seconds, if that. They show Adriana. Adriana is studying. She's studying some type of psychology class or something. The topics appeared to be about narcissism. So her and the dog were studying. We get a mini scene with Summer, which is Kiki's sweet little daughter, at a dance class. And then we get Lisa. Lisa's laying face down on the table with her little butt up in the air, talking about she wants to be worked out like she is doing 20,000 squats. And the lady who is doing it's kind of like a spa type environment. It's one of those things that they put around you and it just shakes you really fast. It looks like an easier way of working out, but Lisa thinks she needs this. So she tells the lady, turn it all the way up, even though Lisa is no bigger than a minute. But that's what she's getting done on her little pampering type spree that she does sometime. We have a scene with Julia. Julia is carrying a plate of food. There is a huge loose dog in Julia's kitchen. You know, I get on Julia about all the animals on that animal farm, and I don't think Julia is that clean. That's another reason why the water tours concern me, with Guerdy being a cancer survivor and also has other surgeries upcoming. In my opinion, Guerdy should have stayed out of that mediation between Lisa and Larsa. Sharon Garbo, yeah, she wasn't the best mediator because she cannot be quiet. She cannot pipe down. And she was aggravating Larsa. Lisa was happy to have her as a go-between, but aggravating one of the people that are involved in the mediation, it just wasn't too good. It wasn't good. And she kept talking over them. And we know that she will talk over people, but she was really doing that during this time when the two of them were supposed to talk together. And the other thing, Larsa ended up in her confessional saying, I do want to sit down with Lisa again, but we do not need Guerdy as a mediator, which is true. So at Julia's house, she's hosting a social worker. So that's why she has this plate of food. But that's no excuse for having a loose, large dog in the kitchen, especially with two toddlers that are around. We see pictures of the little brothers. They're 1 year old and 1 and 3 years old. I was going to say 13 months, but I think they're 13 months and 3 years old. So 2 tiny little brothers and they're little black boys. I don't know if they're Haitians, but I feel like because of Florida, that's where they are. And this really gets on my nerves. Sharon is laughing at, yes, they were aggravated. Yeah, trying to mediate and to have a friend. I'm glad she brought them together, but she wasn't helpful. So we have Julia there hosting the social worker. This is at the time before the process was complete. But y'all, I found it strange that Martina was not there. We know Julia pushed this on Martina. Martina's now claiming that she loves it so much and it's so wonderful. Julia's lying. Oh, Martina's just spoiling the boys, this, that, and the other. The social worker, I'm sorry, this lady was impressed with their home, with Martina's celebrity, even though Martina wasn't there. She was just looking around. And to me, she wasn't, to me, she was fixated more on, she was complimenting Julia a lot. Oh, you know, you have a big heart. She told her, I am a woman. I'm a woman. I adopted boys. How do you intend to get the male influence in their life? Julia's telling the lady, well, I have a younger brother. He's 10 years younger than me. I FaceTime him every week. 2 black boys, excuse me, they're going to need more of a male influence than an uncle who lives elsewhere on FaceTime. I'm sorry, especially 2 traumatized boys. And I know they're traumatized because Julia told the social worker that she had something at her house where she had a lot of people over and the boys were terrified. This was sad, y'all. She said they were so afraid. I don't really have people in the house like that anymore. So who knows what these 2 little babies have been through. I'm glad they're still together, y'all, but I don't knock people that want to adopt children, but looking at the microaggressions that Martina and Julia have had toward Guerdy, who is a woman that would look like the mother of these boys. You see the lovely Guerdy behind me. I don't like it. And the fact, I still want to know, why wasn't Martina there? If the social worker is looking at the home environment, the couple that's adopting them, where is Martina? So there's no Martina at the meeting. I don't know when that happens. So next we have Stephanie's parents. Sharon, I feel the same. She says, I feel sorry for those boys being raised by Julia. I do too. And I can't shake the feeling. This is just my opinion. My banner is running. Everything's a legend in my opinion. It seems to me to be some type storyline, even though I think there's disagreement between Martina and Julia on that. Martina said earlier in the season, she's not going to have the boys on. So they're not really a storyline if they're not going to be available, which I understand, protecting them and protecting their innocence. But Julia's behavior has been so strange to me. I'm concerned about the boys. That's just my opinion. Stephanie's parents are meeting for lunch with Masood, her husband. We see that Masood and Stephanie's dad are almost the same age. And they're celebrating a little bit because Stephanie's parents have been together for 50 years. So we get a caption saying that Masood is 65 years old. So he's very close in age to Stephanie's father. She says she just turned 40. She says she doesn't want children. So maybe that's good. They won't have little tiny children like Martina trying to start a new family at pushing 70. So Masood's children are grown. Now, I've heard that they don't speak to him. That is rumors going around about him and Stephanie and how they got together. So that's a little bit sad. They discussed, she told us last week that her twin sisters, when they started working with the company, Stephanie and them had some problems. Stephanie is telling the viewer, telling everybody that I was almost the boy. I'm the firstborn. They had me, I could get up and go, get out and get it. And I think me being so hard driving, that was hard on my sisters. And now they don't talk to me. The mother starts crying. She says that the twins are also getting estranged from them. They're in touch a little bit, but not as much. So what, maybe, I don't know, did the parents choose the one with the money? That happens sometime. Like when I used to watch the Braxtons, I would notice Mama Braxton being closer to Tamar and Tony. And then they let it slip one time that Tamar and Tony had financially taken care of Mama Braxton. So sometimes that happens. Did Stephanie's parents choose the one with the money? Yeah, I feel the same as Sharon is saying about the prior scene. There are, in my opinion, the boys need protections from Julia. The ones that need, yeah. especially since the person, she can get physical. And now you have people smoothing it over that it's okay for her to be physical. You think the family is strange? Yeah, that was, well, she said that these people went on her honeymoon. Larsa found that a little weird. So she said they went on her honeymoon. It could be a matter of them choosing the one with the money. But the father did say to Stephanie, I appreciated him saying that, I need you to fix this with your sisters. It's on you to fix this. But Stephanie hasn't taken any responsibility. She's just saying she's so hard driving and hard working, her sisters might have been turned off by that. I think you were talking crazy to the sister, Stephanie. That's what happened. And she wanted the viewer to know last week, she bought one a Range Rover, she bought one a Mini Cooper. That doesn't give you license to mistreat people. Some people can't be bought like that. Sorry. So we have a scene with Guerdy and Russ going to a therapist. She wants Russ to move from a caregiver role to back to her, like a husband role. Of course, he's her husband, but as he was taking care of her, he said that he had to be almost like the therapist called it a first responder. And we do see Russ being very stoic, while Guerdy can be very emotional and over the top, and their younger son can be as well. Russ has to like hold it together and keep it together. So Guerdy is telling us that during some of her chemo treatments, it got so rough that she actually told Russ, she said, I'm going to just stop any treatment, and whatever happens, happens. And y'all know what happens when people stop chemo. A lot of the times, that is it. So Guerdy gets emotional. She said, Russ said to me, listen, you are the strongest person I know. I know this is hard, but you cannot leave me and leave the boys when there's still a chance for you to fight. And she said, because Russ said that to her, that gave her the strength to fight. And here is Guerdy, healthy, cancer-free for now. The surgery she has upcoming is, she showed us a few episodes ago, and Russ was at this appointment with her as well. She's getting her breasts re-augmented to kind of take away some of the scars of surgery and to shape them the way that she wants again. And then, y'all, what sticks with me is the port. We can see Guerdy's port. So the fact that, and Sharon and I are talking about the fact that this water toss at Guerdy is a cancer survivor. Martina's a cancer survivor. Everyone took Martina under their wing, took Julia under their wing. They got all the sympathy. And they're treating Guerdy like she's not a cancer survivor. And it's hard to watch. Mama B says, I'm side-eyeing Martina. She has said some negative things about Serena Williams and other Black tennis players. Why adopt Black boys? Mama B's, I've been side-eyeing her since that. She is very tough on the Williams sisters. She always has been when she used to commentate. She never showed any grace toward them, younger women in the game. And we know the tennis world as a whole had always been hard on Richard Williams and the Williams sisters. But Martina, I started thinking something about her during that time, and even watching how she moves on this show. She's been very nasty to Guerdy, and I can't see why. I know her wife, Julia, will come and tell her things that Guerdy supposedly did to her. And as not the husband, but her wife, I'm sure she's going to take her wife's side. But Martina, I'm already suspicious of her and her behavior and her words. Welcome in, Linnell Seiler. Hi, thank you for coming in. Sharon Gobble agrees with Mama B's 100% about Martina. We know this about Martina, so I don't like it. So this was a really a touching scene with Guerdy and Russ, y'all. You know I love the two of these as a couple. And what I do love, y'all, Russ says, I've known Guerdy since the 10th grade. Y'all, they show this high school picture of Guerdy and Russ when they met. Guerdy smiling ear to ear. Russ still looking stoic, but I just thought that was really sweet. He is so sweet to Guerdy, and Gertie's really good for him too, because he seemed like he would be kind of flavorless without someone like Guerdy and his younger son in his life. The older son has his persona, kind of. When she decorated for Halloween, and the older one was like, oh my goodness. And Guerdy was over the top, and the younger son was so excited. I just love them as a family. But the therapist is just saying she would recommend that they still maybe have individual sessions, because Russ said, I've wanted that for Guerdy because she has a lot of childhood trauma. And y'all, Guerdy told us when she came to the country, excuse me, I see my internet slowing down. I'm going to try to wrap up. There's not too much more left. Guerdy told us when she came to this country, they lived in France. We know Guerdy is Haitian. So the father came. He brought Guerdy and a brother. They came. She said they dropped her off at a cousin. She thought everybody was coming, but it was just her and a brother. Dropped them off at a cousin's in Florida. She said she did not speak the language. The father and mother left, went back to France to the rest of the family. They weren't able to come yet. And she didn't see them for 3 months. And so now she has this sense of, she says, and she started crying again, y'all. Guerdy gets me when she gets upset. She's so engaging and charismatic. I know there are people that don't like Guerdy, but Guerdy just touches my heart. It's not just the cancer. She said that when she is ignored or cast out for some reason or ganged up on, she gets that feeling as like when she was a little girl that she's not being accepted, and it's really hard on her. She started crying. And then we remember when, I think it was last week, Guerdy was telling, maybe the week before last, when Guerdy was telling Russell about what Julia had done to her and how Julia had humiliated her and purposely targeted her with the water to humiliate her in front of the other ladies, how hurtful that was to Guerdy, because Guerdy thought that her and Julia were friends. And I'm starting to hear more about that. I saw an interview with Dr. Nicole. She was saying, my friends on the show were Julia, Adriana, and Guerdy. So that was a little circle that was kind of tight, y'all. And we see they're icing out Adriana, the personality, Guerdy, the personality. Because I'm sorry, people love Alexia and the Cuban Barbie and all this. Alexia, to me, is dumb as a box of rocks. When she sit there like she doesn't know what's going on. Like, Todd, me and Todd, the divorce, we're getting an extension. Back and forth with Todd. Alexia is dumb. She can be funny at times, but she's a trip. Marisol can be funny as well, but Marisol is jealous of the more dynamic women, in my opinion. So that's what I'm seeing from that. Anyway, that basically, let's see. That was most of what struck out to me during this. And let's see where we're at, because I'm concerned now about the internet. I apologize. And we're right at almost a half hour. This was a pretty good episode because they started out the party. I like when they kind of tie loose ends. They're showing more of the new housewife, Stephanie, even though, y'all, what I'm hearing, what Stephanie's presenting may or may not be true, everybody. So we'll see. With the reunion, I think we're going to get to hear more about Stephanie, but it looks like some of what she's presenting might not be really what it is. So if you came in, please click the like button. I would appreciate that so much. We didn't see a lot of Kiki this episode. We had a little funny confessionals from Kiki while they were at the party. Adriana, I still want to see more Adriana. They showed her a little bit more at the party. And then I guess she's studying for some type class. So that's interesting. Marisol, other than her and her new marriage, I'm saying marriage in quotes because now they're saying her and Steve, are they really married? We don't know what's going on with that. We're not sure. We're seeing a little bit more of her. And then she's friend of. So they're only going to show so much of Marisol. But they said she really wants her mojito back. So she's going through all lengths to get the mojito back. And then I'm looking forward to further in the season, we're going to get a Dr. Nicole sighting. Guerdy gets to bring her in. So Guerdy gets to sit down with someone who is a true friend to her. So this episode was pretty good. I guess I'll give it an 8 because there were some things on it that got on my nerves. But I'll go ahead and give it an 8 because, and mainly the party scene, parts of that were really funny. And then also the Russ and Guerdy therapy scene. I haven't seen anybody else be that real on camera with their life story. I think Guerdy's helping a lot of people, a lot of survivors. To contrast that with Martina's cancer story, not good. For Martina and her wife to come on and attack a fellow survivor. I hope they take it to the house. I want them to go. I don't care if they show those little boys or not. I pray protection over them. I don't need to see them. And I want Julia to go. And I hope she's not able to slip and slide through this reunion like she didn't physically assault someone with water. I was glad Guerdy talked about that at the party when she had the nerve to bring up, what do you do if someone hurts you with words? And Guerdy said, well, the words came after I was physically assaulted. So I have to be able to forgive the physical assault, and that's coming slow. So we're going to bring that up every week, everybody. And I appreciate you so much for joining the live Sandra P's Gen Extra review on Real Housewives of Miami. Y'all, I'm not seeing any more okay, here's one. I agree, Sandra P. Yeah, we'll see Sharon Gabo. We're gonna watch them with one eye open because this is my favorite, fun, light Real Housewives. It used to be Atlanta. A lot of stuff has gone on in Atlanta. It's kind of gotten on my nerves. The panel hasn't been able to get our schedules together, unfortunately, dropping extra sassy tea talk because I wanted to get everybody's view together on that. Some of the ladies are giving their own view on their own channel. So dropping extra sassy tea talk, we have been doing immediately after, but unfortunately we were not able to get everybody Sunday. And then Wednesday we didn't either. So we're going to try everything again, everybody, this week after, immediately after the second part of the reunion, and just incorporate part 1, part 2. I'll make sure I talk to the ladies before that, and we'll see what we can do. We hope to see everyone, all 4 of the channels. So excuse the internet. I see myself all choppy, and I apologize for that. Thank you for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra, and everybody, please enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.